Welcome. This is the first in a series of short tutorials where we will walk through building a movie recommendation web application that's based on Apache Spark machine learning. Here we have the web application, and what we will do is register for an account. The message at the top of the screen tells us that registration was successful and that we've also been logged into the account. We can see also by clicking on the right account menu, we can see that we're logged in with the email address we provided. From here we can search for some movies, and then we can provide a rating for those movies. There's a note at the top of this table saying that ratings are from 1 to 5, 1 being the worst and 5 best. So let's just rate another movie here. Now what's happened here is that we've rated some movies and these have been saved to a database. There will be a background job that's running Apache Spark, which will retrieve all of the ratings by all of the users every hour, and that job will then create a machine learning model based on that data and then generate recommendations for all of the users, and it will save the recommendations back to the database. When we click on Get Recommendations, this is where we can see the recommendations that were provided. Now, because we have only just created some ratings, and if we look at the bottom of the screen here, we can see that the DSX job, the Data Science Experience job, was last run 19 minutes ago, and this job runs every hour. So the movies that we have rated have not been imported into Spark yet, and no recommendations have been built based on those. And that's what this note is telling us at the top here, is that we're using what I'm terming a real-time approach to generating the movie recommendations. You can read more about the approach here. If we come back in an hour's time, we will see that the recommendations have been changed to the recommendation type will be batch, and those the new recommendations will then have been generated directly by Apache Spark. So now that I've given you a flavour of the web application, let's go back to the home page and we can just take a look at some of the technologies that are used in the demo. So we have the Flask web application, and that's the app that we've just been working with now, and that provides the user interface. Data from the Flask web application is saved to Cloudant, so we use Cloudant for saving the user accounts. We have the movies, the list of movies already saved in Cloudant, and the ratings that the users create, they're also saved into Cloudant. We have another technology which is Redis, and we need Redis to provide us with an auto-incrementing ID field. So every user account has to have a sequential ID because that's the format that Spark expects that data to be in. We use Data Science Experience, which is often shortened to DSX, and from here we have some notebooks, and in particular we have a scheduled notebook that runs a Spark job that creates the recommendations and saves those recommendations back into Cloudant. And I'm also showing here that we have GitHub integration, so when you're working within DSX, you have a notebook environment which are like it's like an IDE for writing Spark for Spark code, and from within that environment you can save your notebooks back into GitHub. Now, I'm not expecting you to know a huge amount of detail about all of these technologies, but if you're not familiar with them at all, then I'd suggest just doing a quick web search and just getting an overview of what these technologies are about. Finally, it's possible to run your own copy of this demo, so you can run your own instance by clicking on the Deploy to Bluemix button. That will create your own instance within Bluemix. You will need to have a Bluemix account, and after deploying to Bluemix, you can then create a new DSX project, and you can, in that project, you can load some notebooks, which you will find in the GitHub source repository, where the link is here at the bottom of the page. So that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching, and see you in the next tutorial.